Hello, Ree. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. It's a Sunday night show. We haven't done one of those for a very long time because we're normally playing on a Sunday. We're not playing on a Sunday tonight. We're playing on a Tuesday. Lots to talk about. We're going to start off talking about Pogba transfer warning, Pogba price set. We'll be talking about that. We've got Jay, Beth and Kev. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Mark. I'm all right. I'm just glad that we've got a bit of a break, to be honest, because the schedule was so busy. Finally can get the Sunday night show done.
Yeah, defo. And we've also got Jordan on the show. First show for you, Jordan. How you doing?
Yeah, really good, guys. Thanks for having me. No
worries at all. Well, let's start off about Paul Pogba. So if you're not aware, this is a Sunday. I'm sure some of you have been using it as a day of rest because there is no United game today. So effectively, Manchester Evening News are saying that Paul Pogba is very relaxed. But there was a story that's come out today that Manchester United are basically putting a price on Paul Pogba because they will not be held to ransom by Mino Raiola. They fear, what I've been talking about for a while, that Mino Raiola will look at this situation and go, we're not going to sign a new contract. We're going to run it down next year for the sole purpose of making a lot of money next summer. Probably £20 million into the pocket of Mino Raiola. If there's no transfer fee next summer, he gets his big signing on fee. Obviously, he doesn't get that if he signs a new contract with United, and he doesn't get that if we sell him. So United effectively saying that they won't be held to ransom, according to reports, and that they're looking to sell him if he's not going to sign a new contract this summer. What do you think about that, Jordan? I mean, look, we've spoken about this on this channel for quite a long time. Where do you sit on the Pogba situation? Pogba obviously very relaxed. Where do you sit on this? Pogba in control is what I've said in the past.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're a victim of the fact that his contract has ticked down. So the ball is now in his court. But I think we're in a position where we've got to take whatever we can for him and move him on. I think he's been good for us in parts, but he hasn't been dominant. He hasn't come in and had the Bruno effect that we hoped he would. I think if he signs another contract, it's just going to be 2-3 more years of him flirting with more clubs, Real Madrid, Juventus. And as the world recovers economically, I think other clubs will have money and it's just more clubs that he will end up flirting with. So, yeah, I think if we can move him on, I think we need to move him on and bring someone in that wants to be there and that's committed to us.
Yeah, Kev, I know you hate Pogba. No, I'm only joking. I'm trying to make Kev not be very popular with the chat. No, I know you've in the past you've been quite forward about Pogba. I mean, I don't know. For me, I do agree with what Jordan says there, by the way. But I just think that the problem with this is probably in what I was talking about there. It's the fact that we're in the midst of this Glazer hopefully reform. The problem is not about. I mean, I've got to be honest. Whatever anyone thinks about Paul Pogba. If I was Paul Pogba, I'd run my contract down. I just would. You've got a free choice of anywhere you want to go in a year's time. And let's be honest, as fans, we say, this club's not going in the right place. The Glazers are a load of joke. And then Pogba's like, I ain't signing a new contract. Traitor. It's like you can't have both.
You can't win. The thing with Pogba is, I mean, you've got to look at the club and think, this should have been sorted out ages ago. We all know what Mino Raiola is like, and we've just played into his hands. I did call this a while ago. I said I would not be surprised if this contract starts to tick down now, and Raiola will be in Pogba's ear saying, don't sign it. I've read the story today. He could pocket £20 million by signing for somebody else next summer. And for a fact Raiola, he can hear the money cashing in. He will do that. He's not going to advise Paul Pogba on a football decision and say, stay at Manchester United this, that. He's only in it to move players on. We'll see it again with Haaland. It'll probably be a club for 2 years. Move him on. Personally, and now listen, I have criticised Paul Pogba. I think United should pull out the stops to keep Pogba at Manchester United because there is no doubting that technically he's up there as one of United's greatest players at the club. From a technical view, he's been brilliant this season for Manchester United when he's been available. He's put in performances. Yes, there's question marks. Is he doing it because he's trying to get a move? But United now, sadly, are in no position to bargain with other clubs. If PSG come in now, they're not going to be offering the 90 odd million that Manchester United spent on him. You're looking at something a hell of a lot, less than that. And I think that's really bad on Manchester United's part and the way that the club is run.
Yeah, I mean, Beth, they're talking about PSG. If he's going to go, the only team that could afford him would be PSG because they've got obviously loads of money. Madrid, no. Juventus, no. Obviously, no Premier League club are going to get him. What do you think is going to happen? I suppose, you know, we've had a couple of opinions there. What do you think is going to happen with Pogba? 1 year left on his contract. What's going to happen this summer?
Well, with Pogba, I've always wanted him to succeed at United since he came because you can see the talent that he has. What I didn't like about him in past seasons is he has flirted with other clubs. And that really did annoy me because as fans of Manchester United, you don't want your players doing that. You want them to be committed to your club. I don't agree with obviously what happened before the Leipzig game, but now I've had time to think about it and realise what the board's actually like. I kind of understand his ambition to want to go and win trophies. And if Manchester United's not going to spend the money to do that, and you're a world-class footballer, you're going to want to go somewhere else to win trophies because that is your ambition. Personally, I want to keep Pogba because I think this season he's really shown what he's about for us. I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet along with Bruno, Shaw. He's that kind of player for us. And I also think he's got potential to be even better. This season, he's really, for me, it's been his best season in a Manchester United shirt, not because he's not been good before, because he's had really good games, but consistently this season, I think he's played really well, unselfishly as well. And I think the relationship that he's building with the likes of Bruno, Cavani, Greenwood, I'm really liking that, the way they play. So if I was Manchester United, I'd be trying to sign him up to a contract and pay him one of the highest at the club because he's been here for a while and he's one of the most talented. So it is what he does deserve. But at the same time, you cannot let a player like that go on a free next year. So if he's refusing to sign whatever they do, then I agree with the fact that you're going to sell him because you can't let him go for free. But I want to keep him. So it's whether the board is apt enough to do that deal in the summer. Surely we should be able to. Because I think, obviously, PSG, you're going to win trophies. You're going to win League One. But is that really that much of a success? Because for me, it's one of the worst leagues that there is. And PSG are just automatic winners every year. So it's not, apart from this year, obviously.
Yeah,
but
so Lille.
Exactly. But it's not like as much... It's not as prestigious as the Premier League. The Premier League's the best league in the world. But then with PSG, you're going to be playing with Neymar. You're going to be in the Champions League every year, probably going to go far in it. But the question is Manchester United going to spend the money to improve the team to get to that level the same way City is doing? Or is it just going to keep going along and getting top four, getting knocked out of the Champions League, being in the Europa League? This is the cycle that Paul Pogba's been on with us since he's been here. So it just depends. Is Manchester United looking to the future? Is Paul Pogba had enough? And is he sick of them like basically lying to him about where they're going to go with the club? And is he going to want the money and go and win trophies at PSG? I don't know what's going to happen, but if he doesn't sign a contract this season, then we're going to have to sell him. And the fact that the Manchester Evening News is reporting it, it's kind of making me think maybe there is some truth in the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, just listening to what you were saying there, PSG is not a team I've really thought about, but he's got more chance of winning the Champions League at PSG, and he's got more chance of winning a league title at PSG than he has at United. And I think I always say that in defence of Pogba, whether they've manipulated this situation or not, Jay, the power is with Paul Pogba. What would you rather have happen? Would you rather we spent 400k a week and make him the biggest earner at the club, which is double what people like Rashford, Bruno will ever be on? Well, nearly double. Or would you rather he did run his contract and go? What? How do you feel about that?
Mark, it's a conundrum. Personally, I don't feel Pogba is worth that level of wages per week. I don't think his body of work over the last 4 years warrants that kind of wages, personally. I've been very critical of Paul Pogba over the last 4 years, long before I came on the show. So I'm not going to make a hypocrite of myself now and say, re-sign Paul Pogba on a 4-year contract at all costs. To Beth's point, yes, this season has been his best season, but one could argue it's been his best season because he's been playing predominantly out on the left and he's playing for a move, which is, and to Kev's point, technically, he's probably one of the best players technically for the club, but his production on the pitch, his productivity has been, for a guy of his talent and ability, has been below par. So for the club, for him to leave twice on a free, it's a nuclear scenario for the club. Yeah. So we know full well the Manchester Evening News, it's a mouthpiece for the club, and any article that goes in there, it is thrown out into the universe to see what traction it'll get from the fans and from other clubs. And PSG is probably his only destination. Maybe PSG might see Pogba as the final piece in the jigsaw that would get them over the line in the Champions League, possibly. But the problem I have, if Pogba is sold, say for 50, 60 million, I don't have confidence in the negotiating staff in the club to replace a like with like. When we got rid of Roy Keane, personally, Roy Keane, he wasn't replaced because you don't replace Roy Keane. We saw Ronaldo to Real Madrid for too little, in my opinion. Ronaldo wasn't replaced. So can you see the club, hypothetically, selling Pogba for 50, 60 million and replacing him with Jack Grealish? I can't. So on that rationale, maybe it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And they might say, right, Paul, for your contract, X amount of money, sign it or take it or leave it. And if he leaves it, and you're right, Mark, the power is with Pogba and that scumbag agent. They have the power. And Raiola believes he's bigger than the club, and he believes Pogba's bigger than the club. And that was manifested in Germany back in November. Night before the game, we all know what happened. And personally, I would have never let Pogba play for the club again. But look, Solskjaer is a far better manager than I could ever possibly be. And he brought it back into the fold. And as a result, we saw Pogba's best football. So, Mark, it's a conundrum. Right now, mate, I don't have an answer.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens, won't we? Because I think it's a difficult one. And look, I didn't say at the start of the show, apologies. We're going to talk, I'm going to ask the panel and the live chat who your player of the year for Man United is, because we're coming towards the end of the season. We're also going to do 3 in, 3 out. I know we spoke about this morning, but I want to get the guests' views on what 3 players they bring in and what 3 players they'd sell this summer. I think the interesting thing about Paul Pogba is I doubt anybody's actually thinking about a Pogba replacement in their 3 in, but actually it might be one of the most important positions, because if Pogba goes or Pogba runs his contract down, then we're going to have to find somebody. And I agree with Jay. I don't trust this club to replace anybody. We assume we're a big club, but I don't think we necessarily will do that. Sorry, was someone trying to jump in then just after Jay? I thought I sort of heard something.
Sorry, Mark. I was just going to touch on, I mean, we're touching on Raiola there. Obviously, Jay mentioned that. And the thing that's annoying as a Manchester United fan is the fact that Raiola is basically has Pogba as a kind of puppet. He comes out with his comment before a massive Champions League game. Now, the comments that come out, the one thing that's really, really annoyed me about Pogba is he never actually comes out and, puts basically cold water on the fire or anything that Raiola says. And that's why I think a lot of Manchester United fans look and go, all it takes is Pogba to come out or even talk to his agent and just say, pipe down, mate, pipe down. But it's not, because it's a circus that surrounds Paul Pogba, and we constantly have this. We shouldn't be talking about that. It should be about Manchester United.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that. And I think that, that is the thing with Pogba. I like Pogba. I'm probably more defensive of him than most, because I think he's a great player. And I think you need those sort of players at United. I don't think he's the most valuable player at the club. I'd actually think that people like Greenwood and Bruno and even Luke Shaw are more valuable to the team now than Pogba. But certainly I don't think losing a Paul Pogba is ever a good idea. But Raiola, and that's the football world we live in. We're going to do 3 in, 3 out, but as a new member of the United Stand crew, Jordan, it would be unfair not to just sort of get a bit of insight into what you think about United. 70 points, second place looks pretty much nailed on. I'll drop a little bit of thing here. Jose Mourinho got second place with 81 points. We can only get 76 points. There is a split. I see it every day. There are people who don't think Ollie's good enough, and there are people that think they are. This season, Manchester United, where we are now, where do you sit? Because we don't know where you sit, Jordan. Where do you sit on Manchester United, and what do you think about where we could go under this current manager and players?
Yeah, I think, Mark, at the beginning of the season, I said if we could, I didn't think we were going to win the league, but I said if we could finish second and close the gap and win a trophy, I'd be happy with that and see that as progress. But as the season's progressed and some of the decisions that have been made, some of the lack of tactical know-how in certain games, I'm actually quite disappointed now in May. I think we could have done better. I think we should have done more in the cup competitions. Europe is really disappointing. But at the end of the day, we are closing the gap, and hopefully we are going to win a trophy. So yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And that leads lovely into now how we go to that next stage, whether we can go to that stage. We're going to go 3 in, 3 out here. How should we do it? So we'll do the 3 ins. Should we do 3 outs first? Yeah, we'll do the 3 outs first because it's more controversial. So we'll start with you, Kev. What 3 players? And I should have said before, it can't be crappy people like Pereira and Delow and Phil Jones. You know, it's got to be. Well, no, it can be that. Actually.
Phil Jones was top of the list, man. I was going to say we've got to get rid of him, man. Is he due a testimonial shortly? I think he's that embarrassed he won't even have one. It was like, oh.
Go on then. Give us the 3 you get rid of. Actually, I'm not going to put any prerequisites on it.
On current form, if you could get, I don't know, a Mars bar and a can of Iron Brew for him, Fred would have to go because I think he's been absolutely diabolical recently. I think a lot of supporters are probably looking, thinking, what does he bring to the team? Fred.
You think Fred should go?
I'm just going off purely of how I feel at this moment in time. Do you
prefer McTominay then? Do you actually see a difference? Because I don't disagree with you. I just think that Fred gets a lot of unfair stick compared to McTominay.
Yeah. Well, I do prefer McTominay over him, and I think it depends entirely who you play with him. I think it did work as a partnership, but I just recently, I mean, if you could get anything near back what you paid for Fred, you would snap the hand off, wouldn't you? What was it, 50?
There's no way we're getting that.
50 million?
Got more chance of getting a buyer for the Glazers, you know. I mean, I like Fred, but you're not getting 50 million for him, Kev.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to get 20 million for him.
Exactly.
You get 25.
If you were going to shape up the back, again, if you could get anything for Lindelof, I think you'd let him go because I think Harry Maguire, I think that the Liverpool game proved a lot of people kind of wrong about what Harry Maguire actually brings to Manchester United. There is no doubt that we missed his presence and maybe even leadership skills that we've questioned. A lot of us have said that Bruno Fernandes should be the captain of Manchester United. But I mean, if you could bring in a top class centre back to play alongside Harry Maguire that complements him, somebody that can bring the ball out of play, then I would look personally offloading at Lindelof. And my third one, God, tough question this. Well, probably somebody that's going to go. That again, I'm trying to look at where you'd sort of get money from as well. Jesse Lingard has been sensational for West Ham, his form. A lot of people will question, could he come back to United? Could he do it? I don't know. He seems to be a kind of moment man. You know, he's been out at West Ham. He's riding the crest of a wave, doing really well. We'll see if he can continue that next season. But I'd probably say Lingard as well. If you can get rid of him, then obviously we'll move into the free players that you want to bring in, which is kind of how I'm trying to work this. Because I'd then have 3 direct replacements for them 3 players.
Yeah, I think Lingard makes a lot of sense because of the money. Beth, Lingard, Fred, and Lindelof for you. Would you change any of those?
Yes. I like Fred. I don't think he's first team quality, but personally for me, I prefer him to McTominay in the role that they both play. But that's just different opinions. But who I'd get rid of? I'd get rid of Dan James because I don't think he offers anything to the team at the level that we're looking to be at.
He definitely offers pace.
He offers pace, but pace isn't good enough. You've got Rashford for pace. You've got Greenwood for pace. Is he really that much quicker? I don't think he is. And when he gets the football and he runs through, for me, I just don't think he has the quality. So I would get rid of James because I think if you're going to be bringing in a right winger, which probably would be one of the things that I'm going to do, where is he going to get in, especially if you move in Anthony Martial to the left wing? I just don't see him getting in the team very often. He doesn't do enough for me anyway. So I'd get James out and sell him still in the Premier League, but to a mid-table club. And then I'd also look, the thing is for me, I like Axel Tuanzebe, but if he's never going to get game time under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then why should his talent stay? Because he's literally last choice centre-half, apart from obviously Phil Jones, who's injured. But God knows when he comes back, he might start before him. Like, that's how much Ole doesn't doesn't
I'd rather
really
have McTominay at centre back, wouldn't you, than bring Tuan Sebe on?
Exactly, and that's just offensive for me, especially how well Tuan Zebe's done in the games that he's played. I know Ollie sees these players in training every day, but for me, if he's not going to get the chance, then if Bayer's getting in before him, the similar-ish players, I think you'd have to offload him, try and get some money for him if he's not going to be starting. He's getting to that age now where he should be getting into the team and he's not. And then the same as Kev, I think Lingard, he's very, very good player and he has been since he went to West Ham, but he's not done it at United for a while now. And I think he's a very similar player to Bruno Fernandes, but Bruno Fernandes is better. So I don't ever see him getting in the team, especially when you've spent 40 million on Donny van der Beek and he's going to be looking to try and get more game time next year. I think you should cash in on Lingard now and get the money. And they would be my 3 outs. I wouldn't want to sell Tuan Zebe because I think he's good, but he's not going to get game time. You might as well try and get some money for him.
Jay, any advances on those 5 players that they've given?
Look, personally, I get rid of about 7 players, but that's assuming we're a competent board to do 14 deals. We know it's not going to happen. I'm going to be completely controversial here. I would get rid of Dean Henderson. I'm sick to my tits of the
You know what? I nearly stood up. You know what? I nearly did a horrible thing. I nearly stood up and applauded you then, and I thought that would not go down well.
But
Jack won't be happy, Jay.
We've discussed this on every show for the last couple of months, as you know. So I'm not going to bore everybody with my analysis again. But that was just bad business on behalf of the club, and it's created a political internal problem that the English media have jumped on, and I think it stunted the end of our season.
I feel sorry for Henderson. I'm just jumping in. I just want to mention. I feel so sorry for Henderson.
I agree.
It's the media.
Yeah, look, it's not of Henderson's making. Agreed. He's 24. And at 24, I expect a more competent level of goalkeeping than what I've seen from him. He's on, 140 per week. He's got to be worth, just mark it, 35 mil or thereabouts? Yeah. 35 mil. So for me, I get rid of him. That's a wage off the books. Point blank, he's gone for me. And we saw a huge problem. De Gea has at least 6-7 years left in him at top level. Gigi Buffon retired last week. It was 41. I'm not saying David is going to play till then, but he's got 5-6 years in his tank yet. Kasper Schmeichel pulled off one to save his career yesterday. He's 35. And we won a Jessen, a world-class goalkeeper, 30. For 24-year-old, that for me, his play, he looks like a bloody bear in the headlights. Sorry, a rabbit in the headlights. So for me, he's gone.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want a bear in the headlights because the bear would probably just punch the car out of the way. That's what we want.
You've only got to look at Van der Sar, haven't you? What age was he when, United should have got him years previous to what they did. And he had his best years at Manchester United. I think he might have been a bit older than that.
Live chat will know. How old was Van der Sar when we got him?
Yeah, played into his late 30s. Won us, the Champions League final, Moscow. Rest is history.
Actually,
keepers get better with age.
Ferguson came out and said that one of his biggest regrets was not signing Van der Sar when Van der Sar left Juventus for Fulham. That he totally regretted it. That was the deal to be done, and he dropped the ball on it. So that's the goalkeeper thing for me done. I would agree. I would love to get rid of Fred as well. Fred does the best of his work when we're not in possession. He's great at breaking up play. I give him credit. However, when we're in possession, that's when I would argue, what attributes does he have? He can't pass consistently over 5 yards. He lacks vision. Yes, work rate, tenacity, that's lovely when you're off the ball. But when you're in your possession and you're playing for a team that ultimately should be looking to win titles, Fred is not at the level. But the problem is, sorry, Brett, go ahead, Beth.
I was going to say, from what I've seen recently, I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me. I don't think Fred's good at passing, don't get me wrong. But I think he passes better than McTominay does, from what I've seen. He's putting
they're
more
both as bad as each other.
He's putting more through
it's different shades of shit, really.
Yeah, they're both as bad as each other.
With that, but I've seen so much hype around McTominay, and I just don't see a big difference between them. I just do feel like Fred does get a lot of stick, but anyway.
I think that
you know what? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say that the thing is, and why I chose Fred is because I think it's clear to see that we all want a world-class central defensive midfielder. If we can get one player to do the job that them two do, it frees up somebody in the more, creative part of the pitch. And the dynamics of the midfield change 100%. It brings us to a whole new level. Instead of playing these two players sat in front of the back four, for me, I'm trying to protect and look after the mistakes that Maguire and Lindelof, have in them. I think that's why, I'm going down that route of trying to sort of break that up, really.
Yeah, I do agree with you. They're both not good enough, to be honest, in my opinion.
And adding Matic to the equation.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, adding Matic to the equation, our central midfield is shocking, really. Across the course of a season, between those three, it's really not good. I agree with you, Jay. There's probably about 7 players we could get rid of, but the board would never get that deal done.
Yeah. What Matt Fred remind me of is, remember when we were back in school, there was always 2 messers in the class that the teacher had to separate because they weren't good for each other. And one of the messers was also blamed for all the trouble. And a kind of our team, Fred gets blamed for everything in our team.
I was one of them, Jay.
You know what? If we were in the same class, mate, we'd even separated. No question about it. So, but the problem is, it goes back to the old age phrase of Glazonomics. They paid 50 mil. The Shakhtar Donetsk boys were off buying back champagne when they got the money. They couldn't believe their luck. So the Glazers are not going to lose 25 mil instead of 25 mil. They're not going to do it. So he's here to stay, lads. Let's get used to it. The third player that I would sell is Matic. I was very critical of him on other shows. He did play well for me at Leicester for about 60 minutes, and then he ran out of legs. But that was mitigated by the fact that Mata was still in the pitch. Which
it's like me on FIFA Pro Clubs, Jay. It's like me on FIFA Pro Clubs. I run around doing everything for 60 minutes, and then the energy bar's empty, and I'm like, just not moving.
Like Matic could go to, I would argue, any top 4, top 5 team in Italy and play for another 3 seasons, no problem, and stand out. It's just the cut and thrust of the Premiership. Pardon me. He just can't last 90 minutes anymore. And that's no respect to Matic. He has been a good player for us. I'm not disputing that for 1 second, but I think the time has come to move him on. So they're my 3. And unfortunately, we can't do 7 or 8 or 6 or 7, but they're my 3.
I've got another computer game analogy as well. I'm on form tonight. Matic is like when you're playing Rocket League and you're trying to put a boost on and you run out, and he desperately needs one of those energy bars and he ain't got any. Jordan, we've had quite a range then. We've had Matic, Lingard, Fred, James, Twansebi, Henderson. Would you have anybody different in your 3 out of the club?
No, I agree with Jay and Beth on some of their picks. I think, like I said, our central midfield is shot to bits. Fred and McTominay are as bad as each other. It's really hard. You have to flick a coin to see which one's worse. I think potentially they could be squad players, fringe players that could come in for the bigger games. But in general, they're just not good enough. The Henderson point as well, I think, Jay, you've hit the nail on the head. I would have said Henderson for different reasons. I think people forget what the purpose of the academy is. It's not just to find players that can play in the first team. It's also to develop players that you can then sell at a profit. If it happens that a player comes through, but there's already a player in that position in that team, then unfortunately, it's just the wrong time and we've got to move him on. So if we can sell him at a profit, then that's what we need to do. So, I think Lingard, again, I look at Lingard and I don't know about you guys, but it's great to see him playing football with a smile on his face. He looks happy. He's going to come back tonight. He's going to sit on the bench. So let's sell him to West Ham while we can and take the money. So, I think Matic, Henderson and Lingard would be my 3.
I agree with everything everyone said. I think the only one player I would drop in there that's got to go for me is Mata, for the same reason as Matic. He's just, I thought he was pretty shit on Tuesday night, Mata. He played 90 minutes. I felt sorry for him. I was like, bloody hell, I don't know whether he's going to make it. And he did, fair play. But
I thought Matic was Fred the Red. Isn't he off Fred the Red in his spare time?
Who, Mata?
We've not seen him all season. I actually forgot he was still there. So I seen his name on the
still write the blog. Is he still doing his vlog?
Yeah.
He's not even. Is he still doing his vlog? I've not seen anything from him anyway.
I think he gave it up in COVID. He was too busy.
There's one more person that I think could be kind of thrown into the mix that we've not spoke about. Quickly, just say it is Williams as well. He's barely been around all season, and when he has, he's not looked assured. But yeah, he probably will get out on loan. But I don't know. I don't see him being top class. But we'll just have to see.
Tell you what, Beth, for a Manc, you're really against the locals. You are.
Oh, you know what?
McTominay, Williams.
She's mine.
Yeah, Rashford.
I love Rashford and I love Greenwood. I love players that are good enough. At the end of the day, it is the difference.
Yeah. No, I 100%. I hear you, girl. I hear you. But let's start off with Jordan on this one. We've done the 3 outs. Let's do your 3 ins because I'm sure we'll get some variety on this. Have you got any ideas about what 3 players you'd like to bring in? Realistically, of course, Jordan.
Yeah, I think realistically, I'd like to look at the obvious ones are Declan Rice, your Jack Grealish, and players like that. Can our board get those deals done and spend that much money? I really don't think we can. Basuma looks like a great player for the money. If we could get, Rice would be the ideal one. Basuma, if not, Jack Grealish, I'd like to look at. And then, obviously, Jadon Sancho. So they would be the ideal ones.
Yeah. I think the CDM is really, really important. I'm just trying to think where to go next. Kev, go you next then. Kev, 3, so Jordan's there said Grealish, you'd like him, Sancho, Basuma, Rice. Anything different, any different areas? Because obviously we've been linked to people like Haaland, Harry Kane. What 3 would you like if you could?
Well, I think the fact now that Cavani, thank God, has signed that extra 1 year kind of gives probably Solskjaer another year. You know, I think up front, attacking wise, there is no doubt that we need something on the right hand side. Jadon Sancho to me would be the answer. I would also be looking at Jack Grealish again, and this is where Jordan's point come in of how realistic is it. And then your central defensive midfielder. I mean, they would be mad not to look at Declan Rice. If there is a sniff that they can get him out of West Ham, maybe use Lingard as some kind of bait in a deal to say, well, we'll give you money plus Lingard. If they can work something in like that, that would be good business. It would be achievable. But again, does anybody really trust this board to bring them 3 players in that I've just mentioned? I mean, don't get me, if it's a commercial deal for, I don't know, the latest wristwatch or whatever, Manchester United, they'll sign it up straight away and sell Manchester United's name to it. But when it comes to getting 3 deals like that done, that would be some summer, but I just got no faith in it. But they would be the 3 that I would go for.
Jay, we'll go you next. What are your thoughts? I'm sure you got a list.
Again, I'm going to throw a name to the mix here, guys. Casemiro, Real Madrid. I watched a lot of him the last couple of years. And even though Toni Kroos' legs have gone, Modric never had legs, Casemiro is sitting behind those 2 boys. And the 2 of them are still balling in La Liga. And, okay, I know Chelsea knocked Real out. But in the first leg at Real, Casemiro, for me, ran the show. I've watched a lot of him because I do watch Spanish football. So for me, Casemiro, you probably get him for 30 mil, 35 mil. And I think he walks into our team. Solskjaer can't put his normal stunt. Oh yeah, he's developing. We'll give him some games like he's done with nearly every signing we've had. It's always the same story with Solskjaer. Yeah, we're bringing him on slowly. You need to bring in a tried and tested. And that's the issue. Like the player from Brighton that everyone is talking about, his name escapes me right now, guys. I've had a brain fart. Give me the name. Basuma. If he comes in, what are the odds of Solskjaer will start to say, quote unquote, I'm betting him in? That could actually happen. And there you are with another 40 million sitting on your bench, a la Donny van de Beek. And we'll all agree Donny should have got more game time. Now, let's be fair. Against Liverpool, Donny wasn't exactly pulling up trees because he's ring rusty. Let's be fair. So I would take Casemiro. He walks into that team. And then Varane has been touted and everyone is singing Varane's praises. And we all saw the story today that the 70 million and everyone will agree there's no way in the world you pay 70 mil for a player that's got 1 year left in his contract. Now, today, when Flex put it on Twitter, I retweeted just to see what traction, just to see how people respond. Just do it. And to be fair, a lot of people jumped on, no way, it's too much money. So the fan base knows that 70 million for Varane is insane. I'd rather pay half that money and get Casemiro. Buying a centre back, yes, we need a fast centre back beside Maguire, of course we do. But if you buy Varane, you still have Max Shit in midfield. So for me, it's Casemiro. If Pogba was to leave, my dream replacement is Jack Grealish. He's a baller. He's work rate. Imagine our midfield where you have Bruno nipping at your toes every second in the referee's ear. When Bruno has the ball, if you notice patterns of play, usually 2 defenders are on Bruno in a second. The space that creates for a player like Grealish with his engine. Now, I know this season Pogba has been playing a lot on the left, but you don't get the same work rate out on the left from a Grealish as you do Pogba. So I think Grealish fits us like a glove, I should say. But it goes back to the age-old scenario: can our board execute the deal? No.
Beth,
It's
any
so true.
advances?
So true.
Yeah, I agree with Jay in the fact where I would definitely be going, my first choice if Pogba left would be Grealish. If Pogba stayed, even though I love Grealish as a player, I don't see where he'd fit in, because obviously then you've got Pogba and Rashford on the left, Martial, all of these players. I don't think he would be able to get into our team, but if Pogba left, I'd definitely go for him. I think because obviously we've signed Cavani on for another year at striker, I think you've got to get a right winger now for our creativity on the right-hand side, especially because Wan-Bissaka's advancing a little bit attackingly. I think an out-and-out right winger there like Jadon Sancho, who has proved it in the Bundesliga, that isn't the same as a Premier League, but he's still done extremely, extremely well in that league and in Champions League games. I think him working with Wan-Bissaka down that right-hand side could really add balance to our team. There's CDM, I think, is a must for us. So CDM-wise, obviously everybody looks at Declan Rice, and I do think Declan Rice is a very, very good player. Probably my top choice if I had to have one. But when the stamping price is like 80 million on him, I just don't think he's worth 80 million pound. I think he's worth 50 million pound, and I don't think you'll be able to get in out of West Ham for that unless you're kind of using Lingard maybe is the deal, like Kev said. But have you seen, I don't know if he's good enough because I've not seen much on him, if I'm honest, but Sander Berge, his release clause, is he shit?
No, I don't know really.
I've heard a lot.
He got relegated. He must be shit.
He's not played all season barely because he's been injured, but I've heard his release clause has gone down quite a lot, so that could be someone that we'd be looking at. And then
He's Norwegian. That would do.
If I'm saying CDM right winger, the problem is with the last one is I think we desperately need a backup right back for Wan-Bissaka, because especially if Williams goes out on loan, you've literally got no one there to cover him if he gets injured. But at the same time, I really want a centre back to go with Maguire, and I think Varane would be a great signing. I wouldn't pay 70 million, as Jay said, but surely they can't ask for 70 million when he's only got a year left on his contract. Can that happen? I feel like they'd have to lower the price.
They can ask, but they won't get it. They can ask, but they won't get it. If they ask for 70, they'll take 55, 60.
Well, you could do a straight swap with Pogba. They've both got the same left on their contracts, and surely Pogba's worth more than a centre back anyway.
You could do, to be that would be an option, but I do think Varane, an experienced centre half that's won the World Cup, he's won Champions League, he's still only 27. He's a great leader at the back, going next to someone of the calibre of Maguire as well, because I think Maguire's come on leaps and bounds in the last few months for us. I generally think that just solidifies our back line so much, but at the same time, if Wan-Bissaka gets injured, God knows what we're going to do if we don't get back a right back. But as Flex was saying on a different show, could you push it till January to possibly try and bring in a right back in then? You don't know. But to be honest, I don't think the board will do anything like what we're saying. We'll probably get Jadon Sancho and that's it. And that's not being ungrateful because it's a lot of money, but you're not kind of getting the filling the holes that are in the team that need to be filled.
I've clicked on that
Guys,
one. I don't know what it means.
A name that nobody's talking about, right? I'm going to throw into the ring here. We've all agreed that a right backup is necessary, and Brandon Williams, no respect to the kid, but his body of work shows he's not up to the task. I would wouldn't be averse. Now, again, this is out of left field. Seamus Coleman, Everton. Premiership proven.
He's out. He's too old now.
I think he's done.
Wait. The key phrase is backup right back.
Oh, yeah.
Backup right back. Another leader. Premiership proven. 2 more seasons. And a great crosser of the ball. And can play in a 3-man defense. When Ole plays a 3-man defense, we look dog shit. If we had had to play a 3-man defense with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, and Maguire in a 3-5-2, we probably get smacked 4 or 5-0. So that name, I know Trippier has been bandied about, but if we could get a Seamus Coleman who's going to come in, maybe play 20 games a season, thereabouts, and act as a mentor to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's improved immensely, but he's crossing the ball, and his distribution from corner kicks, I think it's top class. It's just devil's advocate.
To be fair, I'd be better than Williams. So
I think the thing about this is a very interesting question. Is the fact that none of us. I mean, I've said the same about Cavani. None of us have actually mentioned a striker, but how important has Cavani been this season? For me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet, but we have to look at the fact of his age and his past injury record. We can't count on Cavani next season to play every single match. He will get an injury. So when he's out of that team, we're looking to the likes of maybe Greenwood. Can he step into that number 9 role? Rashford. There's question marks. Greenwood will learn off Cavani. I was reading a great story today saying that, he's basically teamed up with him in training. So he's learning from the best. But if Cavani gets injured next season, there's probably people in the comment section that are saying maybe United should go for Harry Kane this season. Even though Cavani has signed, you bring him in. I'm sorry, I was just looking at the comment section then. But I think it's quite interesting that none of us have actually chosen to bring a striker in purely based on the fact that Cavani signed this 1-year extension. It's a lot to put on him, really, isn't it? A lot of pressure.
I think
it is because of that, isn't it? 1 year.
I still think you've got Martial, though, which people are underestimating massively. Don't get me wrong, Cavani is leaps and bounds ahead of Martial in the centre-forward role. He's a proper number 9, which is what we have needed for a while. But at the same time, Martial last season, this season's been a bit of a write-off for him. I think he did well in that role. He got a fair few goals. And I think if you're looking at for when Cavani is injured, if he does get injured or if he needs a rest, I don't think having Martial and Greenwood to possibly play in that role is a lack of options. I really don't. But I do get what you're saying with the fact that Cavani could get injured for months. You don't know. And then how important he has been this year. Long term, we need to look to replace Cavani, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's so many areas in the team that we look at that need filling. So yeah, I think it's just a priority, isn't it? And I think central midfield is a lot worse of a situation than up front. So for me, that's the hole that needs filling. More frustration over those central midfielders than the striking situation.
Yeah, I think I agree, Jordan. I think it's like Kev said, Cavani's here for another year, and I think we've got so much that needs doing this summer. I'm glad we're not looking at a striker, because I think for some reason they were clearly looking for a striker this summer if Cavani hadn't stayed, which is, it's terrifying, isn't it? It's like an apron. You've got a lovely front, but what's at the back? And we're wide open. So, I'm very glad about that. Let's talk about positives. Let's talk about player of the year. I'm sure this might create a bit of debate. We'll start off with you, Jordan, because you're new, and it's, that's what we do to newbies. We put them on the spot. Who is your player of the year for Manchester United? And I don't think anything changes in the next 3 games. I think, it might solidify people's opinion if one of these players goes and scores the winner in the final or something. But really, I think the player of the year should already be picked, really. Who would you go with as your player of the year for Man United, and why? Yeah,
I think it's a tale of 2 seasons with that. I think if you would have asked me around Christmas time, I think it was dead cert that you would have said Bruno. But I think the second half of the season, I think Luke Shaw has just been immense for us. And I just feel like he's come on leaps and bounds by having a bit of competition. And you just really hope if we were to bring a right back in, that would do the same for Wan-Bissaka over the other side. So yeah, as much as people look at the goals and the assists of Bruno, for me, I'd give it to Luke Shaw.
Fair enough. Beth, we'll go to you next.
The same as Jordan, except from the fact I would give it to Bruno. Just by that little edge. Personally, for me, I think Bruno's goals and assists this season, beating Lampard's record across the season, I just think he has been everything this team needed. I think without Bruno this season, we would have been screwed for a lot of the games. He's been our gout of gel free card. Even though Rashford's play time has been poor, he's been a bit of a gout of gel free card as well by the amount of last minute goals he's scored, even though he's not played very well. And I do think the second half of the season, Bruno has kind of dipped a little bit, but I think that's just because his standard was so high before that, and he's kind of possibly running out of steam, and you can't be expected to kind of hold the standard he was doing for every single game. But his standards in general, every single game, his mentality, even if he's not playing well, he'll do something. And don't get me wrong, Luke Shaw's had such a good season, and if Bruno wasn't so good, it would be Luke Shaw. But I just think Bruno is Manchester United, has been Manchester United this year. The amount he's done in since he's been here, his effect has been massive. And for me, I just couldn't give it to anybody else. But Luke Shaw has been amazing as well.
Jay, we'll go to you now. I know who you're going to go, but if you couldn't pick Fred, who would you go for?
Henderson. No, listen, to choose between Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes, it's like asking a parent to pick their favourite child. We all have one, but we'll never say it out loud. So I got to say it out loud. Now, I got to go with Bruno Fernandes on the sheer body of work that he's produced. And I agree with Beth. If it wasn't for Bruno's goals and assists this season, we wouldn't be top four. And we most certainly would not be on the cusp of Europa League final. Luke Shaw's development this year, he's better now than what he was pre the leg break. And I think psychologically, that took him a long time to come back from. Now, I'm a massive Jose Mourinho fan, but Mourinho's treatment of Luke Shaw was tantamount to systematic bullying, and Luke Shaw dipped. So Luke Shaw's development towards the end of last season, this season, has personified the man management skills of Solskjaer, which I said earlier. So hard to split, but I got to go with Fernandes because without him, guys, we're nowhere.
And Kev, what are you going to go for?
So tough listening to all these. I mean, I had two names in mind there. I'm looking at Phil Jones and Fred, so I can't really separate them. No, it's got to be Bruno, and it has to be. And that is no disrespect to Luke Shaw. I think he's had his finest season at Manchester United, but the way that Bruno Fernandes has just responded to the challenge, you know, to come into Manchester United, I said it early on, I don't remember any other player, well, other than Eric Cantona, coming into Manchester United and making such an impact. And this is a huge club. So many big players have come to Manchester United and they have not been able to cut it in that red shirt. They have just not done it. But Bruno Fernandes stepped up to the challenge. At parts of the season, he's carried us. It's been great to see Pogba come in. Sorry. You know, somebody else that's got the same...
He's tearing up here. He's tearing up. Let it out. If it's straight, it'll go viral. Come on. Let it out. Come on.
I think I was getting choked up there. Sorry. But just Fernandes has been unbelievable. Just at a different level. The impact he's made at Manchester United, it's been great to see. And hopefully we all want better players on that same level. I think it's made Fernandez's job a hell of a lot more easy. He carried the team, but now he's got Pogba that can play, you know, close to him. And when you've got Edison Cavani making the runs that he does, it makes his job so much easier. And it's just great to watch. I did get choked up then.
Who's yours, Mark? Is it De Gea?
Well, look, I'm getting hit in the live comments with people saying Seb's your favourite, Mark. Like the name in my favourite kid. Wasn't me who said it. I ain't got any favourites. I don't know what he's on about here.
I ain't both of mine.
I feel a bit sorry for Jordan because I actually think, you know, obviously it's 3-1. Jordan's gone with Luke Shaw and the other three have gone with Bruno. But I think it is a lot closer than what it's, because I'm going to go with Bruno, so it's 4-1. But it is a lot closer. It is a lot closer than that. I don't think it's a 4-1. I mean, what's that? 20% sure, 80% Bruno. It won't be that close if we run a poll. I just think that for me, I love Luke Shaw. I said Luke Shaw was brilliant when people were saying he was shit. I love Luke Shaw. I think he's a brilliant player. And I think the great thing about both these players is that they've both defied the odds. There are still people in our fan base who go in on Bruno, and I'll never understand it. I don't understand that at all. And there's still people who are quite stubborn about Luke Shaw. And these two, without question, are head and shoulders the best two players in this team this year by a very, very long way. But I just think with Bruno, he hasn't been that good since January. I think Beth said that, and I agree, he's not. But he still contributes. And it's hard for Luke Shaw to do that. When Luke Shaw played badly against Liverpool, he had a bad game.
Yeah.
He did. And it's hard for a defender to have a bad game and still contribute. And it's hard for any player to do that. But Bruno has this knack of not having a good game, and then he'll pull out a pass, or he'll pull out a chance, or he'll score a goal. And I think for that reason, and for what Kev said as well, it's that Cantona thing. All right, it's a watered, diluted version because Cantona took us from not winning titles to winning titles. But I think the whole team is better. And I think Luke Shaw's better because of Bruno. So I would give it Bruno. He deserves it. But Luke Shaw, maybe next year it's yours, Luke. Andy and Bruno said that. I just want to move on quickly to Ollie did a press conference for the Europa League final today on a Sunday afternoon. I was like, what the bloody hell's going on here? No idea. Answers on a postcard as to why. But considering we're playing Fulham and Wolves before, I've got no idea. What's he going to tell us? What kit we're wearing? I mean, it makes no sense. But he did talk about a few things. He said, I've got 2 games to decide who's going to play in the final. The whole squad has contributed this season. He spoke about how winning is very important, and he said that Maguire they're going to give as long as possible, but Harry's positive. A few things there. Starting off, we'll go to you, Jordan, on this one. How important is it to win this trophy? We've missed out on a few finals. We've not won a trophy under Ollie. There are some people who sort of feel that this United, well, look at us on Thursday night, big opportunity to kick our biggest rival into the Europa League. We bottled it effectively. Is it important? Will it make an impact if we win this trophy? Do you expect this will change some players, or one way or the other?
Yeah, I think it will. I think Ollie needs it. I think the burden of the semi-finals is probably weighing on him behind closed doors. So I think he needs it. I think the squad needs it. You look at Bruno. Bruno's come to win trophies. Cavani still wants to win trophies. Pogba, is he going to persuade him to stay and give us 110%? So yeah, I think we do need to win it. It probably isn't the trophy I would have wanted. I would love to have won the FA Cup. I was watching it yesterday and seeing a proper football team like Leicester and their fans and whatnot. You just remember the magic of the FA Cup. But a trophy's a trophy, and yeah, I think we really do need it.
And go to you, Jay, on this one. I agree with Jordan on that. I think winning is almost the next step for this team to make them understand that they can, because I think they come second, they bottle a lot of semis. I think it will. I think a trophy is important. I mean, by all means, get involved in that point, but also the Harry Maguire thing. What I think this is bigger than people are talking about. I mean, his ankle's in a bloody brace, and we're playing a week on Wednesday. Where do you think this is heading with Maguire? Are we going to chuck him into a game he's not fit for? Do you think he'll be fine? What?
So Solskjaer has to put out in the media that Maguire is a possibility, because he doesn't want to tell Unai Emery, okay, my big dominant centre back isn't playing, and give the advantage tactically to Emery now 2 weeks before the final. He's not going to do that. So he has to put the cat among the pigeons and say that Harry could possibly play. But it's ligament damage. That's 4 to 6 weeks. And let's be fair, Maguire, he's a big boy. What is he, about 95 kilos? He's like 1.90 meters? He's a big chap. So at that body weight, and any lateral or medial movement on his ankle is far more profound than a lad who's 70 kilos and 1.70 meters. So I think it's 50-50 if Maguire plays. And let's be fair to Harry Maguire. I was critical of him all year. Hold my hands up. He has improved. He has. However, you've got Harry Maguire, who is slow on the ground. Do you want him playing in a final injured when he already is slow at ball to feet? I certainly don't. Be honest with you. I got to play devil's advocate here. Yes, we'll miss his irritability, but Harry Maguire 50% is a very slow Harry Maguire. I just had to put devil's advocate on it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm winning a trophy. It's the 30th anniversary to the day of winning the Cup Winners' Cup against Barcelona and Rotterdam in 1991. So the stars are aligned for us to win this. Like back in Ferguson's time, we won the FA Cup in 1990. Act finished second in the league in 88 to Liverpool. We're nowhere in 89. That FA Cup win in 1990 was like a catalyst for that squad. Like I don't want to go down because a lot of fans here watching probably weren't born or a thought in their father's head back in 1990. But that 1990 FA Cup win, that was the catalyst for our club dominating football for the next 15 years. Now, am I saying us winning the Europa League, we're going to kick on and next season be Premier League champions? No, I'm not. However, it is imperative that those players get their hands on a trophy. Yes, it's the Europa League. Yes, I've called a Champions League B final, but you're in a final. You want to win it. And sport is about one thing. It's about winning. No one cares who came second.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Mark there.
Is Mark gone?
He's gone. Yeah.
I think he's
do you know the other thing as well? Oh, he's back. The other thing about with that is that even if we do force Harry through, they're going to target him. You know, they're going to throw everything at him. So, maybe the decision will be made for Ollie.
I completely missed the last 30 seconds, so I've got no idea what happened there.
It was good. It was really good. You missed everything.
Yeah.
Best bit of show, Mark. Best bit of show.
The thing is about Harry Maguire, obviously, I agree with the points that you don't want him really playing injured. But when we played Bailly and Lindelof the other night, I was so unassured of our back four for some reason. I mean, Bailly did look off the pace. He didn't look like his usual self. And Lindelof did not look like he can play on the left side of a centre-half pairing. I thought he looked quite lost on that side. I think he's a safe option to play on the right next to Maguire, but when he's leading from the left-hand side, I just was so wary of our back four, and we end up conceding 4 goals as well. It's just one of them. I think I'd rather actually play an unfit Maguire if that's what you have to do, because I think at the end of the day, even though we have criticised his leadership qualities, we saw it the other day that we did miss him, and he is the captain at the end of the day. I think we should try and do everything we can to get him onto the pitch, because I just don't trust Lindelof and Bailly together when they've not played together all season, basically. But it's just one of them. Is he going to be fit? I'm not sure, because he looked in a bad way when he was on them crutches. I thought, no way he's going to be fit in a few weeks.
Yeah, he looks in bits, doesn't he? What about Axel, guys? What about that? I mean, I still remember that PSG game when he came in and shackled the life out of Neymar. Like, whatever the team talk Ollie gave him before that game, maybe he needs to give it again and get him out on that pitch. That could be an option for us.
Might go with a 5-3-2, like
I just seen someone say we're going to play a back 5.
No, we can't go to that. When I disappeared, then it was done on purpose. I was basically showing you what it's like when we play with McFred. You've got 4 good areas of the pitch, and then just this missing area on the left. You know what? I'm going to go with a bit of controversy here. I think that if Maguire's injured, we do miss him, but you don't play him. It's a bit like Harry Kane in the Champions League final, a bit like what we did with Beckham in the 2002 World Cup. You get obsessed with bringing these players back, but if they're not fit, they're not fit. And you know what? The Liverpool game, I think we did miss Harry Maguire, but I almost think people have overhyped it. I mean, social media was full of, this is what happens when Maguire's not playing. What? Henderson cost us 3 goals. Like, that's not on Harry Maguire.
He might start Henderson,
Well, I was going to ask Kev that. The goalkeeping situation, is it nailed on that De Gea is going to start? Because I think he has to start. But I'm not listening to what Ollie's talking about. He was asked about it, and he was like, "Well, there's 2 games, and you've got to make big decisions." And I was like, "He's going to fucking do it. He's going to put Henderson in goal for the final. He can't be seriously going to do that."
I will be fuming. And if I see the team sheet comes out and Henderson starts that final, I'll be absolutely fuming. I'd be probably the same anger that David De Gea will feel. The way that the club are disrespecting David De Gea at the minute, it's absolutely shocking for whatever reason. You know, he's been one of Manchester United's best keepers ever, right? He's played in these Europa League games. To me, that is quite demeaning. It's almost like, well, Henderson's going to play in the Premier League games. Right, okay, Ollie, you've made your choice on that, fair play, whatever. But if he now decides to take him out because he doesn't see him as his first choice keeper, and then put Henderson in for that Europa League final, if I was David De Gea, I'd just say, do you know what? Rip up my contract, whatever. Just let me out of here, because the way United are treating him at the minute, it's shocking. It should not be happening to, you know, what probably you will look back as a club legend. David De Gea has been brilliant for Manchester United. And that's the horrible thing about football now, and the way that clubs treat certain players. You know, we're not Real Madrid, type of mercenary club, you know, that hound players like Gareth Bale out the club, who was absolutely quality for them. You know, fans are very fickle sometimes, but just respect David De Gea for what he's done for Manchester United. He should still be United's number one for me. I know it's a different debate for another time, but again, I'll just go back to, if Henderson starts that Europa League final, not happy.
Kev, can you just say absolutely fantastic?
Absolutely fantastic.
I wondered if it would sound like Gary Barlow, but it didn't.
I can do it in Gary Barlow voice.
Go on then.
Absolutely fantastic.
Now shout it really loud. I want it like this. I'll tell you what, Mark, that's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely incredible. Go on.
I might wake the kids. I have to keep the noise down.
Oh, right, okay. That's disappointing. Anyway, look, we've overrun slightly, I think, but a cracking show. Really big up Jordan, first show. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, loved it. Thank you, guys. Wicked.
Yeah, really enjoyed the show tonight. We got some exciting news as well on Wednesday night. Jay and Kev are going to have their first ever show on Wednesday night at 8:00. That's something to get excited about, or not, if the case may be. But you know,
I'd say a lot of people aren't. They're probably like, what?
Yeah.
I'll be watching, guys.
Yeah,
That's
I'll be locked in.
Fair play to you. Fair play.
So you've got Fulham versus Manchester United.
Two people watching then.
Yeah, I won't, because it'll be my night off, so I won't watch it. But you know, please do now. I will watch it. Fulham Man United on Tuesday, and then Kevin Jay on Wednesday night. There we go. Looking forward to that. Yeah, but thanks everyone for popping on. Really enjoyed it to get the Sunday night show. It feels like it's been a long time. Somebody just said there, we paid 80 million for Harry Maguire, and you don't want a barrage for 70. I don't want a barrage for 70. I think he's really badly misspelt Varane there. That's not even mistyping. That's terrible. I don't know what that is. It might be predictive messaging or something like that. Barrage. I don't know who it could mean. You don't want barrage for 70 million. I don't know.
It means. Oh.
We'll never know.
No, we'll never know. Anyway, cheers, Jay, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Always a pleasure, Mark.
And thanks for Kev coming on.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. We're back tomorrow, previews, and then Tuesday the match, and then lots of content to come in. Not long left now until we start kicking into all this transfer shit as well. So, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it will be shit, but I'm certainly will get linked. I saw we got linked to Messi today. I mean, you know, Neil Ashton's working very hard, of course. But they've got to spin that wheel. They've got to get you buying those shirts. Glazers in, you know, buy the shirt, Glazers in. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you soon.